Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient slash survivor. Been dealing with cancer since late 2020, early 2021, and doing great. And today has just been a beautiful way to start a new month, month of May. This is when we're recording it. And it's absolutely gorgeous today, but I hear the rain is coming, but it's all good. We're alive. I'm alive. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you're alive too. So that's always a good thing because we never know if later today or even tomorrow is given to us. So we need to make the absolute most out of each and every day. So here's your commercial. Please like, subscribe, make a comment in the comment section of this video. It helps us to grow. And let's get going with a great conversation. And I am so privileged, and we just recently met, and we have a connection here with someone, and I don't even know if she realizes it or not. Uh, we're we're just kind of winging this thing as we
Yeah.
go, which is fun. But my special guest here today is Carly Fauth. And so, Carly, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and how you started on your cancer journey.
Well, thank you for having me, Mark. It's so nice that we connected on LinkedIn and it's been a quick friendship. So we're here today and I'm really excited to be here. I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer in February 2024, which is very recent. I had a double mastectomy and completed 16 weeks of chemo, fitness, exercise. That has been my profession for a while. And I maintained that during my cancer journey, even in my recovery from my surgery. And during the 16 weeks of chemo, I did not miss a day of exercising, and I also did not miss a day of teaching my clients. That was the goal that I set for myself. And I really do believe that that is what helped me stay so strong and recover so fast, is because I did keep my body moving. I had a very good awareness of my body, so I could decide when it was time to rest and when it was time to move. And I'm on a mission now to really help change the system and the narrative in the cancer world, that moving is just as important as resting. So that's my journey. That brings us up to date today. I have a podcast called Chemo Coffee Talk that I started from my chemo chair, and I wrote a book during chemo. So I have been also on a mission to make this challenge that was placed in front of me, try to make lemonade out of lemons and try to help as many people as I can from what I learned from my journey.
I've seen um, photos of you doing your podcast from the actual infusion center, getting chemo, which is just wow. That's
Yeah.
that is unbelievable. I was like, man, I have to interview her. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
who's willing to do that is just it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So let's start with the journey itself
Mhm.
and what you started noticing and how you got diagnosed
Yep.
and that kind of thing.
So breast cancer did not run in my family. I've always lived a healthy lifestyle. It wasn't really something that was on my radar, but I was in the shower one day and I just was washing my armpit and my hand grazed, so just something that didn't feel right. So I went to my doctor to have her check it out. She wasn't overly alarmed by it. So there was no rush for me to get the ultrasound, but I did go about 10 days later. And then, long story short, they told me that they wanted to do a biopsy of something that they found, which was a complete shock to me. And from there, that's just kind of spiraled into it being a cancer diagnosis. And then realizing after the genetic testing that I tested positive for CHEK2, which caused my cancer. And since then, my parents have both been tested and it came from my dad's side. So, yeah, then because of the type of cancer it was and the genetic marker, the check two marker, I decided the best option for me was to have a double mastectomy. And I also chose to be flat and not get reconstructive surgery. I just didn't want any more surgery. Being a fitness instructor, it was very important to me to get back to what I was doing. So I chose to go flat. And then we just chose the most aggressive chemo because I'm not messing around. My cancer was stage 1B. It was a small tumor and I caught it early. It hadn't spread. So it is triple negative, so that is a more aggressive kind of cancer, but my prognosis is pretty good because we caught it early. And also because I continue to maintain my healthy lifestyle as well. And I'm very focused on appreciating every day, like you said, and really trying to be positive, not toxic positivity, realistic positivity, but really trying to like what I'm trying to do with my mission of trying to help other cancer patients is just really trying to make a negative situation more positive. And I think that helps, that mindset.
What, when you got your diagnosis, what was said to you and what went through your mind when you did receive that diagnosis?
Actually, it it wasn't handled very well, in my opinion. I think there was a covering nurse who was doing the ultrasound, and her facial expression and her energy when she saw what she saw, she couldn't tell me what she saw, but I didn't really need her to tell me because you could see panic in her face. And then she put the ultrasound wand in my armpit, and I thought, oh no. And then the doctor came in and said, we found something suspicious, and it's very clinical, not the best bedside manner, in my opinion. And the nurse also she was telling me she would pray for me and that if she were me, she would go home and eat a gallon of ice cream because she'd be so scared. So I can look back and laugh. And even at the time, I was like thinking, this is so bizarre that this is being said to me. But yeah, so that I was so confused and I just felt like I didn't want to Google. Luckily, I did have a client who worked in radiology at another hospital, so she was able to kind of calm me down. She went over the report with me so she could tell me exactly what it was. So I think the beginning of my journey was a little bit rough. I think everybody has a different journey and it can go up and down and all around. I would say my journey in the beginning was not the smoothest, but it evened out pretty fast once I had my care team put into place. So then I felt much better. But yeah, it was definitely the scariest time of my life.
Talk about what you, who was involved in your care team
Mhm.
and what that meant to you.
Yeah, so I like many cancer patients had absolutely no idea how the system worked, who I go to first, do I see a surgeon, do I see an oncologist, who carries my insurance? It was really frightening because living in the Boston area, we do have a lot of great cancer centers. So trying to find the best team, you all of a sudden think that you're dying when you hear a cancer diagnosis, so you're rushing to find the best people. Luckily, I did have a lot of connections and people that care about me who were able to point me in the right direction. Um, the surgeon that I was put to because of my insurance, I didn't know anything about. No one seemed to know much about her, but she ended up being the perfect fit for me. My surgery went great. She had a great bedside manner. It worked out really well. I had an oncologist that some of my friends had too, at Dana-Farber. She's awesome. So once that care team was put into place and I had a plan, I felt like I had more control over the situation. I think when you're sitting there and everything's unknown, that's the scariest part. But once there was some forward momentum, instead of just being like, what next? That was a huge relief. So I was very happy with my surgeon, very happy with my oncologist. And from there, everything seemed to fall into place.
So when you got diagnosed, what, you have a family,
Mhm.
uh, how did you deal with telling your family and
Mhm.
your immediate uh, circle of family? How did they react and what did they do and how supportive have they been?
So when I first found out, I got the call at 3 p.m. on a Friday in January. So it was already getting dark out, and my two sons were just coming through the door. One of them had my 10-year-old, 9-year-old at the time, had a friend with him as I was getting the call that I had cancer. So my older son, who was 15 at the time, he did know the situation. He knew I was waiting for the phone call. So he looked at my eyes. I looked in his eyes. And he just had the wherewithal to take my son and his friend in another room and let me take the phone call. And then when I got off the phone, of course, I was trying to hold it together, but I think I kind of blacked out because the person on the phone didn't know how to read the report. And she told me, and it was actually grade 3, but she told me it was stage 3 cancer. And it wasn't. Not that it matters, but when you don't have any information, I just heard that and I fell to the floor because I didn't know anything. And I got myself together, and then I was able to talk to my 15-year-old, and he was very mature. And we just made a decision. I said, I don't know what the future is going to look like for me, but I need you to understand that I don't want this to have any negative effect on you. He's a soccer player. I said, you're going to go to practice tonight for me, and you're going to keep going. This is not going to hold you back. This, I promise you, this won't. We're going to push forward on this. And then I told my husband, and I'm sure in his quiet moment, he had a bit of a panicked moment, but he was my rock. So that I had such a support system right away. My mom, my dad, my brother, they were all there for me. Everyone wrapped their arms around me. My fitness community, my clients, my friends. I think when you get a diagnosis like cancer, it's the gift of it is that you see human kindness at a level that you would never be able to see it without going through something like that. So the care and the concern and the support I had was, I mean, I get choked up just thinking about it. From the get-go, I had people with their hands on my back holding me up. So I feel very fortunate about that. I couldn't have gotten through it without them.
Beautiful. I love to hear that because, everybody's journey is different.
Hmm.
What everybody goes through is their own personal situation because you don't know how the people around you are going to react or act towards you. And I mean, you name it, I had probably a mixed bag of all of that. And so, you're going through this very tough situation. And then at the same time, your world around you is swirling and you're kind of in the middle of it, watching yourself go down
Yeah,
the drain.
and you also, I found it interesting too. I like that you said that because I found in the beginning I was okay with it, but then I had to comfort the people I was telling. And to me, that was exhausting. And I could appreciate their concern, and it was all coming from love, but I didn't want to have to dry somebody else's tears because I was the one going through it. So that I'm sure you understand that too and had the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact,
Yeah.
when I started my cancer journey, and gosh, I just really appreciated all the people around me. I would, as soon as people heard that I had, what I had, stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer, the phone every day would just be ringing off the hook. In that first week, I took calls morning, noon, night, and everything in between. And, by the third day, I told my sister and my daughters, I said, I don't know what's going to kill me first, the calls or the cancer. It's
Oh, I
like
can relate. I
this
can
is
relate.
unsustainable,
Hmm.
and it's really hard. So there's all these different factors involved with a cancer journey that you're not told about at all,
Oh,
and you start
100%.
walking down this funnel of all these things swirling around you. And until you actually live that, you don't have any idea about that. So I completely
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. So what did you do about that aspect of it?
I was patient. I think I just appreciated the love and concern, and there weren't there the most people were very positive and knew what I needed because they know my personality. I've never been one for wanting people to feel sorry for me. That makes me angry. So I think people kind of knew already how I would want to be treated. And I just tried to keep reminding myself that it was all coming from a place of love. And I also reminded myself that there are a lot of people out there who don't have that kind of support. So I just tried to take the good energy from it, the positivity, the love, and have it comfort me. There were days where I didn't want to talk to anybody, and on those days, I wouldn't talk to anybody. But other days I was pretty good about accepting that. I think I've had a harder time, actually, to be honest with you, on the survivor end of it, because I don't appreciate when people come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm so happy that you were out there running," and it's like, why? Like that bothers me a little bit more. Where I'm like let's just like I'm fine, like I'm fine, I'm happy. I hope you get out there running too. That kind of that sets me off a little bit more now than it did back then. Oh, I lost
I,
you. Oh, I got you.
I totally resonate with what you're saying. Um, there's just so many things that, when I start meeting and talking to different people, I start recalling these things and I bring myself back and I was like, wow, that was a crazy, crazy time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's so fresh in your mind because, that was literally just a little over a year ago for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have somebody that we happen to know.
Oh,
uh, and that's I saw we met on LinkedIn, and that's how I meet a lot of people. I also starting to meet a lot of people on Facebook because of our cancer conquering community. But you did an interview with Christine Handy.
oh yeah, Christine. Yes.
Yes, and for those, in fact, why don't you share a little bit about what Christine is doing and who she is,
Yeah.
uh, and and all that for those that don't know.
Yeah. So Christine is a model, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And any woman that goes through breast cancer knows that it can completely do a number on your psyche about your body image. And then imagine being somebody who's making a living on your body and your appearance. So she wrote a book about her experience, and it was turned into a movie called Hello Beautiful. And it just won at the Beverly Hills Film Festival. And it's also nominated for the Philadelphia Film Festival. I think I might be getting the name wrong for that, but she's just an advocate for women to feel comfortable in their bodies and know that beauty is goes deeper than just the outward appearance. I think that she's doing such a great job and with that, and it's just really nice to have people out there again who can show that like you can live a very happy life with cancer as a cancer survivor. It's not always a death sentence, and it's you can have a very fulfilling life and you can use your experience to help people. So she's an ultimate example of that. So she was on my podcast, she was my guest, and we had a great conversation. She's awesome.
Yes, she is. She is. She's in fact, I we touch base pretty regularly because um, I do a lot of things on LinkedIn and so anything to help her, I'm reposting and promoting and things like that. And I actually just talked to her last week, and we're set to talk about something else next week to help her with her movie. But
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, I just think the world of her.
She's
She
great.
is a fierce, fierce advocate, and just is just such a beautiful soul. Really,
And I've
really.
received so much good feedback about that episode. I've had people reach out to me, which doesn't happen all the time, saying that they really enjoyed that episode. So I think it's I think it's a really important lesson, whether you have cancer or not, just about whatever happens to you in life, you can take control of it and you can have it help you build confidence instead of tear you down. It's such a great
Abs
message.
Absolutely. Uh, Talk about, it's fascinating to me what you did, and I'm hearing this more and more. I've interviewed at this point in time, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and what I really appreciate are people such as what you did. You kept exercising through your treatments.
Mhm.
I just recently interviewed a gentleman who is a runner, and he's a beyond a marathon. He's done
Oh, and
marathons, but
an endure. Oh no, it was just in my brain, and now it just left.
yeah, I know.
An ultra marathoner.
Ultra marathon. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And he did actually did an ultra marathon, but what he does is fascinating because when he would go, he still goes through chemo. And what he does is he fasts 3 days before he has chemo treatment.
Hmm.
And because he has nothing in his system, he said the chemo doesn't affect him at all.
Really?
Yes, yes. And so then after he has chemo, then he goes out and he runs.
Wow.
So, I hear more and more stories like that, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic, because it's so easy when you have chemo to just say, even if, you know, I never did that, but I know people who would say, I'm really sick, and they just wanted for people to leave them alone, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So I understand that. But there was a baseball pitcher last year from the Chicago White Sox. He got diagnosed with stage 4 at the beginning of January. And his goal was he wanted to pitch last season for the White Sox. And so what he would do after his chemo treatments, he'd go in his backyard and he'd pitch every single time. He returned to the mound and he was an all-star relief pitcher. He returned to the mound in July and came back to the big club and resumed pitching. So I absolutely love to hear stories about people who don't succumb to what chemo could be, because it could be really debilitating depending on the person. And I don't bemoan anybody who is, debilitated
Hmm.
from it, because it can be really rough. Also, there's so many different types of chemo.
Hmm.
There's probably, I don't know how many there are now, but there's probably 30 to 50 different types of chemo, and each one of them carry all these characteristics.
Hmm.
So you don't know how each one is going to interact, and we're all different human beings. We all have different health situations, so you don't just don't know.
Hmm.
So obviously, when you were going through your chemo, you were still you were still teaching your exercise classes. And invariably, I know you didn't feel good every single day.
Oh, no. Oof. No, I felt awful most days. But what I started,
How did you do it?
I did it because all it takes is one time to feel so miserable with nausea. And it is even hard to describe what the kind of chemo that I had feels like. You just feel terrible, and you want relief so bad, and you can't even imagine that moving your body is going to help you feel better because it sounds like it would be the opposite. All it takes is one time for you to experience the relief from doing whatever kind of workout, if it was a walk, if it was like a mild strength training session, one time. And you're like, okay, so I know no matter how bad I feel, if I can get myself to move for at least 15 minutes, I'm going to be able to help the side effects of chemo. It's gonna make me feel better. And that is what helped. keep me going. I think you have to have the experience of it working for you to be able to want to keep doing it. It's not much different from anybody who lacks motivation to work out. You don't get the motivation until you start moving. You're not going to want to move when you're going through chemo until you try it. And it doesn't have to look like something extreme. It can be a walk to the mailbox. Lifting weights and resistance training is hugely important when you're going through chemo because chemo eats muscle for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But you don't have to be down there powerlifting. You lift what you can. Any little bit can help you, especially after you're done with chemo, because it depletes you. I even with all the work I did, I still felt different in my body. But I was so happy that I put the work in that I did because I could come back to where I was before a lot easier than I would have if I didn't. It was eye-opening. Movement, exercise is medicine, and I'm determined to help as many people as I can understand that because it is not talked about enough with doctors. Doctors don't know what to say about it. They see the research, but a lot of doctors don't have a really good base of fitness themselves, so they don't feel comfortable talking about it. So we need to bring in people who do feel comfortable talking about it because it's something that helps.
You know, I heard that from Bill, the ultra marathoner. He said the same exact thing as you did.
Yep.
And he says movement is medicine,
Hmm.
which I'm just fast. You know, I'm so blessed in my position to be able to hear so many different stories and so many different experiences from other people who've gone through it. And that's how I put together everything that I've done is I've talked to the people who've actually walked the walk of
Hmm.
cancer. And I didn't want to talk to people who are just trying to sell me something because everybody in their mother has something to sell and has the cure and everybody knows this and you know, but I wanted to talk to the actual people who had been through that themselves. And that is invaluable beyond belief. And the beautiful thing that I discovered was these people were so willing to open themselves up and help in any way that they could. And I found that over and over and over again. So that's an incredible thing.
Can I say
Uh,
one thing about that, just to piggyback that? I love
Absolutely.
I love that you said that because that brings up another good point. I think hospitals and cancer centers need to start using people like you and me and the ultra marathoner who who, like you said, we've been through it. I have my cancer exercise certification, but it doesn't seem to really mean that much in the medical community because they want doctors or other people who have the certifications and maybe not the experience. Like you said, you can learn so much from somebody who's gone through it. So I really think that that's the missing piece of getting this exercise and this fitness into hospitals is using the people who have been through it. And that's my big thing too. So I'm so glad that you said that because I 100% am on board with you with that.
Carly, we have so much more to talk about. Would you? We haven't even scratched the
I
surface, I feel.
know.
Would you like to come back for
I
a
would
part
love to
two?
come back. Yeah, I love what
Okay.
you're doing.
Thank you so much. One final question for today is if you had the power to do anything, how would you change the world to make it a better place for everyone?
I wish that I could I wish I could have a magic motivation wand that I could just like go ding on people, especially cancer patients, just to help them open their mind to the idea of exercise because it can help. Like, I just want, here's the thing. When you know yourself, when you're on a cancer journey, we're all allotted a certain amount of days, like you said in the beginning. You don't get makeup days for the days that you're in treatment. So it's quality of life. So why not use this tool that everyone has in front of them to enhance the quality of life when you have to go through something like cancer? And it's such a nice thing to have in your tool belt. So I'd like a little wand to give people the motivation to at least try.
That is awesome. Carly, Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you on uh, another time to hear more because I think you have so much knowledge and you are very inspiring as well. And I love to talk to people who do similar things to myself because we've when you're out there talking about it, it just flows. And it's just such an actual gift. It's very therapeutic when we can talk to people and share experiences like that, and you learn so much from other people, and that's the bottom line. I don't like to read about too much about cancer in books. I like to talk to people and hear it with my ears and put it all together. And I'd like to thank everybody out there for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. And I just hope that each and every one of you really, really appreciates what we're given to here on this earth. It is an actual gift, and make the most out of it because we only go around once, and we cannot, as Carly had mentioned, we cannot replace what has gone. And, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how many things you have. Uh, you can't be buried with it. We're all going to go at some time. So let's make the most out of each and every day because each and every day is precious. It's a gift. So have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. Thank you very much.